Welcome to Instruction Discussion, our weekly look at the latest topics and trends in education affecting schools here on Long Island and schools around the world. Whether you're a teacher, parent, or student, listen for tips and strategies to help you navigate the educational landscape. There's a bell. It's time to start today's Instruction Discussion on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hello, I'm Kevin Boston Hill, and welcome to Instruction Discussion, where each week we'll examine a recent trend or development in education and its impact on Long Island. Ask any teacher to tell you something about the profession they absolutely abhor, and high on that list will be creating lesson plans. Of course, lesson plans are a necessary evil when it comes to teaching students new topics, but it is also a task that is extremely time-consuming. Teachers will spend hours creating a lesson for a 40-minute period. Then, when the lesson is over, spend more time trying to perfect it for future use. When you think of all that goes into a lesson plan, from standards taught to activities to differentiation and grouping strategies to assessment, it is enough to drive a teacher crazy. Add to this the number of lessons a teacher goes through in a typical year. 5 lessons a day for 180 school days equals 900 lessons. And you can see why teachers feel the way they do about lesson planning. They often state that teaching wouldn't be so bad if lesson planning was easier. Our next guest may have the solution. While the use of artificial intelligence in education has received a bad rep recently because students are using it to cheat, our guest shows how AI can be used more productively. Former University of Texas computer technology professor and CEO of CYPHER Learning, Graham Glass, created an AI tool that can create lesson plans in a matter of minutes instead of the hours teachers originally devoted to lesson planning. This is certainly a game-changing technology. Mr. Glass, welcome to Instruction Discussion on 90.3 WHPC.
Hey, thank you very much, Kevin. It's great to be on your show.
I understand that we're probably borrowing you right now from a certain event, an ATD event. Can you please explain to our listeners exactly what that is before we get into our regular discussion?
Yeah, certainly. So I'm in New York for a few days, visiting with a lot of different people, customers, prospects, podcast hosts such as yourself. But the main reason I'm here is to kind of spread the good news that AI is here to help teachers and learners around the world. And so the ATD event, which is tomorrow evening, I'm going to be demoing a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking with you today in front of a live audience, just to kind of show the magic of AI in action.
As I mentioned earlier, you were once a college professor for a long time at University of Texas, Dallas. So what prompted you, because you taught computer technology, so what prompted you to finally use that expertise to create this algorithm we're going to be talking about today?
Well, when I was teaching at UT Dallas, just like all other professors and teachers out there, I had to create my course materials. And I was teaching a very popular subject at the time called Unix and C, which is a huge area. Much like anybody else, I get out my pen and paper and start building the curriculum. I'm really into competency-based learning. So before I created any content, I would outline the specific 30 or 40 competencies that I was going to teach. And then I would start creating the materials and I would map everything to the competencies, whether it's the content, the assessments, the quizzes, the rubrics, everything. And in the end, it was a really great course. And I actually turned it into a best-selling book, believe it or not. But that's another story. But it took a long time. They estimate it takes at least 400 hours or more to create an entire course. Now, fast forward quite a few years, I started this company called CYPHER Learning. We've got a really popular cloud-hosted web learning platform that's used by schools, universities around the world, but not with AI. So everything that I did myself manually, you could do in our platform, but it wasn't accelerated by AI. But then, as you know, this year, AI has suddenly come on the scene and everyone's going, wow, what can this do for me? So what I wanted to do was to create some AI in our platform so that someone like myself could build 80% of the course in Unix and C in 10 minutes, as opposed to 400 hours. And we've achieved that. It's actually an amazing thing to see in action. But the general idea was to remove the drudgery of 80% of your course material so you can focus on the 20% that really matters.
So you're telling me you just shrunk our work from 400 hours Basically, it's an hour a day for a year for the most part, down to 10 minutes. How is that even possible?
Well, so it didn't used to be possible. What's made it possible is the new generative AI, which has hit the ground running. Everyone's familiar with ChatGPT. We're already on ChatGPT 4. Soon there's going to be ChatGPT 5. I mean, this stuff just keeps on evolving. And so what we found is that if we could use multiple AIs, so it's not just ChatGPT, there's other AIs for image creation, other AIs for finding suitable imagery and video. And if we could talk to these AIs really, really quickly, and to give your listeners an idea, when we create a single course on, let's just say, photosynthesis or the effects of the Vietnam War on US popular culture, we communicate about 150 times with 3 different AIs to stitch together the course. But the result is actually amazing. It's competency-based automatically. All the content, all the video, all the images are automatically tagged. All the questions are automatically linked back to the competencies. It's automatically gamified. You name it, it's got it. So it takes about 10 minutes. It's about 150 conversations. But the resulting output is world class.
So I would imagine that the first couple of go-rounds that a brand new teacher, finds a platform and they decide that they want to give it a go. I'm sure that the first couple of go-rounds, it may not give them exactly what they're looking for, but the more they use it and the better questions they plug in, the better the output's going to be.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm really glad that you asked that question because this is something that I found out myself experimentally. So this is like absolutely leading edge technology. So obviously it's not in the hands of a lot of people. But I started building my own courses all the time. So I create probably 20 courses a day. I'm kind of addicted to it, to be honest with you. It's like so much fun. I'm teaching myself particle physics and jet engine design and all kinds of stuff using our tool. And so what I found was you can generate 5 to 10 versions of the same course so quickly that it makes a lot of sense to generate tons of versions right early on in the course design. And you can give the AI nudges in certain directions. So if you're teaching a certain thing, you can say, teach this from the perspective of a civilian during the Civil War. Teach this with a Barbie theme. Teach this with coming from the perspective of a certain persona. So you can generate 5 to 10 copies of a course really, really quickly, and then review them and decide the one that really resonates with you. Then you can archive the ones that you're not going to use, take the one that you really like, and then put the additional hours to make it your own. So I think, if I was an instructor, I want to personalize it, add my own anecdotes, add my own projects. So it's not like once the course is generated, you're done. But the nice thing is it's done so much of the work for you, you can spend that remaining hours on the things that really count.
I think that's an important piece of information you just gave there, that once the AI puts out whatever the product is, you're not done. I mean, I'm sure there are some people that will try to use it as is, think it's a plug and play type of thing. But you're not done. You have to review the work that's been produced, and then you want to add your own little spin to it so that, like you said, it becomes yours now, and it becomes something that you feel comfortable with teaching. Because, again, the AI is only taking care of 80%. The other 20%, you have to come up with some kind of way.
Yeah, and we're very upfront with that. That's why we call it Copilot instead of Autopilot. So the general idea is we want this thing to be this supercharged assistant for people who create instructional content. And it will remove a lot of the drudgery, but the thing that brings it alive is going to be all the additional personalized stuff that you do, whether it's personalizing it for people you're teaching with specifically, your own personal anecdotes, your own, like I'm really into project-based learning. So I would add a lot of my projects that otherwise the AI might not have done. But, part of my hope is that people will realize that AI can take a lot of the drudgery out of course design. So you can spend it on stuff that really matters, but also you have a lot more time left over to motivate and inspire your students. And, when I was teaching at UT Dallas, my number one objective was to try and give people an intrinsic motivation to want to learn what I'm talking about. So I would try and show them why computer science was so amazingly fun. And we would build neural network simulators in my course. And as a result, they absolutely loved the material. And then they were very motivated to continue to learn that after the class was over.
I think that's really good to know, because one of the facets of teaching that seems to get overlooked a lot is how do we make this interesting for our students, no matter what the subject matter is. I would assume that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I would assume that based on the conversation and the language, that a lot of the CYPHER Copilot is used by professors in higher education, because you're creating these large courses of materials, usually that to create for 15 weeks at a time. Yeah. What about the K-12 teachers, those teachers in high school and in middle school who need that daily lesson plan, not necessarily something that's going to carry them for the entire 180 days of the school year of building curriculum, but something that they can use on a more daily basis?
That's another great question, by the way. So one of the things that Copilot is really good at is incrementally creating material. So, for example, you could start with Copilot and you could say, just generate me the competencies for a particular topic. And they don't have to be topics that are Common Core, for example. I could be teaching ballet. I could be teaching, electronic design, for example, for which there is no standard curriculum. So I could say, I'm going to build a course in electronics, create me a competency map. So it maybe gives you the 25 to 30 things you're going to learn in the course. Then on Monday, I can say, okay, I want to add one lesson and it's going to teach these two competencies and I want it to be in this tone of voice and with a certain theme. And it'll generate you just that one module. And then on Friday, you can say, add the next module. So you can kind of go as you want. As you're going, you can add competencies, you can remove them. It's like very fluid. So, you can go from generating an entire course in a single shot or gradually generating content incrementally. One of our customers is the country of Qatar. So their entire K through 12 public system is powered by the CYPHER Learning platform. Mm. And one of the things that they want to do with AI is exactly what you say. Every week, a teacher generates one more lesson. The difference is that now a lot of that work is going to be done by the AI. So the teacher doesn't have to do so much, drudgery, and they can spend more time inspiring students.
You are listening to Instruction Discussion on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Kevin Boston Hill, and our guest today is Graham Glass, CEO of CYPHER Learning and creator of the CYPHER Learning Copilot, an AI tool that can automatically create lesson plans. I like that idea of being able to build as you go, because again, that's how, let's face it, that's how a lot of teachers do it, right? They waited until that Saturday and Sunday to build their lesson plans for the following week and so forth. I was in that boat myself. And so it just makes it a lot more seamless for them. But as I mentioned earlier, though, it's important to note that the CYPHER Copilot takes out a lot of the drudgery, but it doesn't give them the complete picture. So, while you're taking most of the way, you still have to review and make sure that it's up to not only the standards to be taught to students, but whatever the standards are by your particular school and administration as well. So there still is some personal involvement with the development of the lesson plan that's going to take place.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the things is that a lot of teachers do it as they go, simply because they don't have enough time to do the whole thing up front. And, one of the things that's nice about CYPHER Copilot, and that is if you are going to build a course in a particular subject, you can build so much of the course so quickly up front, then all you really need to do is adjust it as time goes by, as opposed to coming up with it from scratch the day before you have to teach it. So once again, it's all about giving time back to the teachers so they can teach in a more relaxed fashion. They're not like hustling to the last minute to create a course.
So now when you do create those things ahead of time and you create the large batch of items, and whether they're modules or lesson plans or so forth, and you archive them, where are they stored? And two, how long will they be available?
Yeah, so they're stored in the cloud. And they're available as long as you want them to be. You can even export them as Common College format and import them into another system. And one of the things I want to mention to your audience is that when we generate these courses, everything that is generated can be edited. It's not like, hey, it's take it or leave it. So you get all of the raw course materials, all the raw question banks, the rubrics, the assessments, etc. But you can edit every single thing. So nothing's set in stone. The other thing for your audience is that when we generate a course, it generates a remarkable amount of detail. So we're generating, beautifully formatted HTML for the core content. We're automatically inserting recommended YouTube videos, recommended imagery. So it looks really beautiful when you're taking the course. It's not like uploading a PDF or something. We're generating huge question banks automatically on any subject. We're generating written assessments with rubrics, and those rubrics are automatically mapped to competencies. We're generating group assignments, individual project assignments, automatic glossary, automatic student study guide, and it's all fully gamified. So you get points and badges as you go through these courses. So tremendous amount of stuff. It's not like a bare bones course. This is like a very full featured thing.
Yeah, no, that sounds really exciting. And I'm sure, especially when you think about teachers having to differentiate for the variety of students they have in their class. So you want to make sure you're able to address the students who are the visual learners and the kinesthetic learners and the auditory learners. And also you want to figure, well, how can I group students? So when you're thinking about developing your lesson plans or even going through the AI, you can tell the co-pilot, okay, I need you to develop this lesson plan for groups of students who are at this level or groups of students at another level.
And it's actually a lot more than that. So, the nice thing with Copilot, you don't have to know anything about AI to use it. So it's all packaged up in a seamless way that when you say, I want to create a course, you get a little wizard. So just asks you a few questions. But they're really cool questions. So, obviously, what do you want to teach? Well, grade 5 biology. What tone of voice? Do you want it to be academic or more casual? What persona do you want it to be generated? So you could have the storyteller persona, which teaches everything's around storylines. You can have the science enthusiast, which emphasizes science a bit more. You can have the entrepreneur, which is always trying to tie things back to, ways that you could do business, for example. You can even give it additional instructions. So it was quite fun. We have people generating thousands of courses with this technology already. But when Barbie came out, a lot of people started going, well, I want to teach this course, but from a Barbie angle, because all the kids in my class are really into Barbie. So you can just say, I want to teach this particular marketing it was with a Barbie theme in a casual tone of voice, in a micro learning format. So if you want to do a bite-sized format, you can. And when it starts generating the course, everything was tied back to Barbie. It was actually pretty amusing.
I'm sure the students, when they go through that, they'll be just as amused and interested as well. Let me ask you this: can the Copilot, the CYPHER Copilot, integrate with any learning management system, LMS?
Yeah, so that's one of the nice things that's unusual about our learning platform, and that is any course that you build inside the CYPHER platform can automatically be surfaced in any other learning platform with zero modification through the magic of LTI, which is the Learning Tools Interoperability Standard. So a majority of learning platforms can consume LTI tools, but we are the only mainstream learning platform that is also a learning tool provider. So what that means is that every course that you create, you can just take a link, go into any other learning platform, enter the link, and that course will appear in that platform. But with all of the functionality that you benefit from being hosted on the CYPHER Learning platform.
Now, let me ask you, I'm looking to create a particular course and so forth, but I don't necessarily know the questions that I want to have answered. Is there a way to see what has already been created, or is that kind of kept separate from the general public view?
Yeah, so when you create your own course, you're the one who owns it, nobody else. And we haven't asked any educators so far to share their content, although we are considering having a monthly contest for the best courses, because people are creating amazing courses using Copilot. But like I say, it's so easy to use. I mean, you don't have to know anything about AI. You just answer a few questions, give it a few little nudges in the right direction. And so you can learn how to use Copilot in 2 minutes. It's like so easy. What I found was, as an educator, I was so fascinated by how quickly I could create courses. I just started building lots and lots of courses for my own edification. So I found, for example, that instead of using Google to research a subject and learn about it, I actually use Copilot now to build me a mini course on that subject. And I'm finding that I use Copilot on a daily basis to educate myself, which does bring me to one other thing, which is we focused on Copilot version 1 on the instructor content creation side. Copilot version 2 coming out later this year is going to allow learners to learn about anything on the fly. So a learner will be able to say, hey, I want to learn about photosynthesis right now. And they don't have to wait for 2 years to be in that biology class to learn it. It'll actually create them a mini course within 30 seconds.
So then what would be the difference per se between doing this or Coursera or the YouTube University or something, which a lot of people do now? They just, if I want to learn something, I go to YouTube and watch a video. Yeah. Or if I want to get certified in something or learn something, I'll go to Coursera or something similar to that. So how is Copilot kind of expanding that universe?
Well, so the thing with Copilot is that it can create you a course on anything in seconds. And it's unbelievably cost effective. Like the total cost of creating a course on our site is about $5. Coursera costs a lot more than $5, let me just say. And it's somewhat limited in what you can do. So some of these sites specialize in computer science, some of them specialize in other areas. So the first thing is that it's so much more general purpose. So we've got businesses creating, courses on how to create coffee, on how to deal with customer support issues, on digital marketing. We've got K through 12 doing various courses on biology or physics or history. So, sky's the limit with regards to the domain. The other thing that Copilot does is that it pulls from multiple sources, the AI. So if you go to YouTube, for example, and you find a video, a lot of those videos are going to be a 20-minute or 30-minute video that gives you one particular person's perspective on how to do something. Whereas when you use the AI is drawing on the essence, which has been ingested from the internet. It's like the wisdom of millions of people. And so it will create you really good content, but it will also pull in the best videos from YouTube, the best imagery that it's finding from all over the world. So you get a really nicely pulled together content from multiple sources. So I'd say that was another benefit of using Copilot.
And I will assume that since you're pulling information from all over the world, that you can tailor the course creation to a particular language.
Yeah, we actually support 50 languages in release 1. So if you want to build a course in Arabic or Italian or South Korean, whatever you want, you just pull that from do it from a drop-down menu. And not only will it generate the content in that language, but it will pull in images and videos in that language as well.
Oh, wow.
Which is pretty remarkable.
So we kind of danced around it a little bit, and you gave us little tidbits here and there, but can you walk us through the process of using CYPHER Copilot to create that lesson plan? So I'm a teacher. I'm sitting in front of my computer. I go to the CYPHER Learning platform. What am I doing at this point?
So I'll tell you exactly what you do. And I wish I could share a demo because tomorrow at the ATD event at the Touro University, I'm going to give a 2-hour live session where I actually demo all this stuff. But here's basically what you would do. You click on a button that says add a course. It asks you what's the title of the course. Do you want it to be self-paced or instructor-led? And there's a little checkbox there which says get assistance from Copilot. So if you don't check it, then you just build the course the traditional way and you enter everything by hand, no problem. But if you say get assistance from Copilot, then a little slider pops out from the right of the screen, and it's like the course creation wizard. And it's a simple form with checkboxes and drop downs, and you basically fill in the various details like, oh, you want a question bank? How many true or false questions do you want? I want 50 of those. Do you want group projects? Yes. Do you want individual projects? No. So it's like, yes, no. Then you say create. Then it says, hey, Copilot is busy saving you time. We'll let you know when the work is done. And in typically 10 to 15 minutes, it will say your course is ready. And you click on it and it will take you to the course and show you all the modules, the quizzes, the assignments, all the content, the gamification, etc. And then at that point, you can edit it to your heart's content.
And I think you can also then transfer it or download it onto your desktop or into any other place that you feel more comfortable with having.
Yeah, well, we support the common cartridge format, which is the standard for import-export of courses between learning platforms. So, if you create the course on our system and you want to move it to another system, there's two ways. Export it out of ours and import it into the other system. Mm-hmm. Although, our system has got world-class gamification, so you wouldn't necessarily have those kind of features on other platforms. Or because we are an LTI provider, you can take the LTI link and pop that link into any other learning platform, and then the course will actually appear magically in that platform.
It seems to be a very useful tool, not only from a higher education standpoint, but from that K-12 standpoint that I'm sure, again, a lot of people or a lot of my listeners are going to be tuning in for. Do you see any potential drawbacks or maybe anything that people should be looking out for when it comes to intellectual property issues?
Yeah, so the IP issue is an interesting one. So I'll tell you a little bit about how AI works, and then I'll tell you what I feel about copyright. So when these AI models are trained, they don't copy and paste from all these sites. They do something similar to what humans do. It reads the content, extracts the essence, and stores it as a whole bunch of numbers, rather like our neurons change over time as we read articles, etc. So when you're generating content about photosynthesis or ancient medieval history or something like that, it's not copying, pasting from multiple sites. It's actually creating the content from the essence of what is stored in the model. To the best of our knowledge, there really aren't any copyright issues with the textual generation. However, when it comes to things like imagery and videos, you always have to abide by whatever those copyright issues are. So, for example, videos from YouTube can be freely used. And that even says on the YouTube side, like, as long as it's embedded in the YouTube player, you can have at it and embed it in whatever you want. But certain imagery, for example, might be subject to copyright. So when you're creating your courses, you need to go through those images. And if there is one that, hey, that's copyright, just swap it with another image. And our tool actually allows you to swap images in and out very easily because we anticipated that. So I think generally speaking, for general use, I don't really see any massive gotchas, but you do have to abide by whatever the copyright restrictions are on the imagery which is suggested to you.
Okay, thank you for that. And we would certainly like to thank our guest, Graham Glass, CEO of CYPHER Learning and creator of the CYPHER Learning Copilot, an AI tool that can automatically create lesson plans, for coming onto our show today.
Yeah, it's been great chatting with you, Kevin.
Once again, my name is Kevin Boston Hill, and thank you all for listening to Instruction Discussion, right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.